Alright, welcome to another episode of Charlie and the Boys. I am your host, Stephen Chalicum, and you can follow me and the show on Twitter at CharlieATB. And tonight we're just going to be doing a week one preview from our Fantasy Football League. We actually got a lot of really great content recorded from when we did the draft. We have upwards of 200 views right now, which is completely surprising to me, which is pretty cool. So apparently people are going to take this kind of stuff. So hopefully we can keep giving that kind of content. So definitely subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. So we'll just jump right into it because I want this to be a relatively quick video. Um, we have a couple trades that have been proposed here, and as you can see, we have Stefan Diggs for CeeDee Lamb being offered up. Um, Stefan Diggs obviously had a really big night last night. Before that night even happening, and even moving forward after that night happening, I still think this is kind of a fair trade, right? Both are number one receivers on their respective teams. Both should see a lot of targets. CeeDee Lamb will, in my opinion, will probably see more receptions by the end of the year, and that's actually only because Stefan Diggs is going to be he's got reputable receivers to share the load with, right? At least in my opinion. CeeDee Lamb doesn't quite have that yet. Um, so CeeDee Lamb could be a little bit better playing the long run, assuming health stays. But right now, I think this is a totally fair trade, so we're going to let this go through. It's currently got no objections. And then the second trade, another one I wasn't really expecting. Um, Damian Pierce here for Leonard Fournette. I this is kind of a tricky one. I think this is a perfectly fine trade. It's kind of tough to gauge though, right? So what are you really expecting from Houston's offense in general, let alone their rookie running back? Um, he is going to see a lot of time, right? So it's as far as workload, he's going to get it, but is he going to get the yards? Is he going to get the touchdowns? We'll have to wait and see. And then for Leonard Fournette, that interior offensive line is really going to struggle this entire year. Um, Fournette's gotten older. He's, got an injury history. I would not really foresee him getting a lot of rushing attempts and even successful attempts at that to the outside, right? It's obviously not going to happen very often in the inside with the way that they're gashed on the offensive line. So I don't really this trade doesn't do much for me either. We're gonna let it ride. If the trade happens, it happens. I'm not gonna object to it. That's for sure. So we'll just have to wait and see again. But just want to throw that out there. So let's just jump right into the previews. So again, week one preview. We have our Dade County Hurricanes versus Chally. That's me. And I would like to note here, so I have Matt Stafford who had a horrible night, and I totally saw this coming. And I'm actually extremely mad at myself because I have Tua as a backup, and I really fought for a while. I was like, man, I should put Tua in. And it's not because I actually really thought Stafford was going to have this bad of a night, but I was like, man, I think Tua is just going to go off with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Um, and the running backs in the backfield, they love throwing to the backs in the backfield, especially with the new offensive coordinator in town. So I feel like that's going to shoot me in the foot, but it is what it is. Nothing we can do about it now. Um, but bigger picture, the difference I had in this game, I think, is actually going to be the tight ends, right? So I have Dalton Schultz here, and I don't know that Dalton Schultz is actually going to have a huge game. However, I think Dalton Schultz is probably going to be the number two targeted receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like most targeted in receptions. That is, he's obviously a tight end, so don't quote me there for the receiver thing. Um, and I don't really know much about the Denver's tight end, but what I do know about Denver is they have a pretty good wide receiving core, um, and they have a pretty good running back duo also. Or I don't know that their tight end's really going to be getting a lot of attention, so I think this game's going to be close. I do think my team pulls out in the end, and I would say that Dalton Schultz could be the reason why I take away that win. Um, Defense we lined up, I think Joey Bosa is going to give me a couple extra points as well. So you see that I'm technically the underdog here, but I would expect the W here. We shall see. Moving on to the next matchup, we have come to the dark side and see these nuts. This is the second closest spread we have throughout the week. Uh, Hang on, that can't be right. I'm doing bad. Oh, it's already factored in these points. So before the week, it was the second closest spread. Um, but because we've already got some points on the board by some of these players, it already factored that into the total. So disregard that. Either way, I think the wide receiver core is going to be explaining to us what the wide receiver core here is going to dictate who wins this game. So Mike Evans is going up more than likely against Trayvon Diggs for the majority of his snaps. I would say Trayvon Diggs is at least going to get an interception in this game, and it's not Mike Evans' fault. It doesn't reflect on Mike Evans. Um, but just the way Trayvon Diggs plays, I don't see Mike Evans having an explosive game. Now, he very well could. And if he's not lining up against Trayvon Diggs, he's lining up across from Anthony Brown, who is a better corner, in my opinion, in man-to-man coverage than Trayvon Diggs. So either way Mike Evans goes, he's going to have a tough night. Um, I don't see him hitting this 14-point mark. Same thing for DK Metcalf. We don't really know is Geno Smith going to be able to get him the ball. Essentially, we'll just leave it at that. Stefan Diggs, we saw had a huge night already, and Jerry Jeudy. Um, I would anticipate having a pretty decent night as well, going up against that Seattle defense. I don't think that Seattle defense is really going to be able to slow down much of anything. So hopefully Jerry Jeudy can be on the receiving end of some of those points. Nothing significant to note here for defense, in my opinion. Actually, I lied. Let's rewind that a little bit. So, Come to the Dockside is currently the significant underdog. I do actually want to note that. So with Micah Parsons here, Micah Parsons could have a huge game, right? So the way the points in our league work, I believe it's 2 points for a tackle for loss, 3 points for a sack, 2 points for a pass deflection, and yeah, something like that. Those are all wickets Micah Parsons is probably going to hit. So he could very, very easily with one sack, one pass deflection, one tackle for loss, right? That's 7 points right there, and he's projected for seven. That's not including individual and not team tackles, total tackles. He could get potentially an interception. I'm not going to say that, but so I would expect that number to be higher than seven. Micah Parsons could individually win this game if it's close and it comes down to that. So that's something to keep an eye on for this team. All right, moving on to Desda's Dallas versus the Quadzillas. This was an interesting one. I think there were some bench guys here that I was concerned about. Yeah, so he's got Lazard here on the bench, which is what I was concerned about. I'm not necessarily. Yeah, okay, doubtful will play the next game, so that's why. So that's a shame because that's a really good wide receiver right there. It's going to be Green Bay's number one, so really good pickup, but just not for this week. So Justin Jefferson is going to have to carry the load here because he's going up against Davante Adams and Jalen Waddle. In fantasy football sense, obviously he's not going up against them in the game. Davante Adams is probably going to have a huge game because I'm sure the Raiders are going to want to prove that hey, they made the right choice by bringing over Davante Adams. So he's probably going to see a couple extra receptions than normal or targets than normal. Um, and Jalen Waddle, right? Like we still on paper, man, that Miami offense looks like it's going to be awesome. Um, Tyreek Hill is going to get a lot of attention, which would probably free up Jalen Waddle. And I would also anticipate that the run game is going to be moving. And if it's maybe not specifically the run game, but passes out of the backfield to the running backs are going to be a constant thing with Miami. So Jalen Waddle should have a lot of one-on-one matchups. He could hopefully win favorably against the number two or potentially number three corner. He's going to have a good game too. So that's where I think this really wins here. Another thing I wanted to point out, he's got AJ Quadzillas, that is, has AJ Dillon and Brees Hall. This is a really weak running back lineup. Um, I'm not taking the shots at the person drafting here. You draft what you can, but AJ Dillon, I believe, is essentially the second running back in Green Bay. I don't see him taking that many snaps away from Aaron Jones to make it worth an RB1 spot. And Brees Hall he plays for the Jets. I mean, he's gonna get an RB1 load, but is that offense going to be efficient enough to make it worth keeping him on this roster or in a RB2, RB1 position? We'll have to wait and see, but right now I don't think so. Okay, moving on, quick, because we gotta keep this rolling. Keep this quick so you guys are just not sitting here all day. Okay, so put cheese on everything. I really love the name of this team. This is awesome. Put cheese on it. Put some cheese on that shit. Versus K Chows, aka Mrs. Chally. So Mrs. Chally better win. Um, this is gonna be probably one of the better matchups of the week. Um, Amari Cooper here could be what shoots everything, put cheese on everything in the foot though. Because we just still have questions about Amari Cooper and Jacoby Brissett, what that sync is going to look like. Are they in sync? Are they out of sync? How long is it going to take for them to get in sync? Blah 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 blah. And then Michael Thomas, we don't even really know, so it's still questionable. Yeah, I even if he plays, how productive could he possibly be? Wide receivers are a huge question for Pachis and everything versus the Tyler Boyd on K-Chows. Yeah, he's a number three receiver, but he is an extremely high end number three receiver he's gonna get targets because Jamar Chase, Pachis and everything, is gonna get a lot of attention, especially in this Pittsburgh defense that just they've got a really good secondary. So expect Tyler Boyd to make some catches, especially late in the game when they can't really get the ball to Jamar Chase as much as they want to. Tyler Boyd's going to be huge in this game. Michael Pittman and Allen Robinson, who didn't have a really good game. But Michael Pittman, I would expect to especially good going against this Houston defense. And that is that for that week. So what we're seeing here, I guess I want to take to say what we're seeing here is there's a lot of wide receiver matchups that are really going to dictate a lot of these games, right? Like a lot of the running back matchups, I don't think are necessarily going to have a huge impact quite yet. Um, I think the later we get into the season, the more we see teams try to just slow the game down with a running back, is when we'll see the running backs have a much larger impact. Now, Derrick Henry here, he's going to have a huge game. Ezekiel Elliott here, those are two phenomenal running backs. But this duo of Barkley and Patterson could be just as strong. Like Patterson is extremely dynamic and electric um, offensive weapon, and Saquon Barkley could be that too. He just got to stay on the field. So again, I just want to reiterate the wide receivers are really gonna shine or be what carries week one, and probably through week 3 or 4 as well. But okay, so show me your TDs versus team bans. What I got here, so this is another extremely close spread, or again before they played last night, was an extremely close game. Shoot, lost my train of thought. Oh, what I did want to know here, and again, another wide receiver matchup. So we have both teams have an extremely strong wide receiver one in Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb. But the number twos are very weak and have very bad matchups, and that's T. Higgins going against that Pittsburgh defense that, as I've mentioned, has an extremely strong secondary, and Brandon Ayuk, who's going against the Chicago defense, who, isn't all that, but it's their defense is I don't think is as bad as a lot of people think. I think they will give, especially Trey Lance, a very difficult time. So is CeeDee Lamb going to be able to save the day here? Is St. Brown going to be able to save the day here? I don't know. Um, and as we also previously mentioned, because I don't really think the running backs are going to have a huge game, right? Like with James Conner, DeAndre Swift, two, starting running backs going up against Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette. Two starting running backs, but is Fournette and McCaffrey going to stay healthy throughout the whole game? Uh, is Fournette going to be able to even run the ball with the way his offensive line looks? Is Christian McCaffrey, he's going up against that Cleveland defense. That's a tough matchup. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, these receivers are going to dictate a lot of these early matchups. And actually, this tight end matchup is an extremely poor one as well, or poor in the sense that it's unfavorable for team bans and extremely favorable for show me your TDs. Travis Kelce against Mike Gesicki. Yeah, Mike Gesicki, he could end up being a pretty good tight end, but until we see that Miami offense really rolling and firing all cylinders, I don't really think Mike Gesicki is going to be a huge role in that early in the year. He could be later, but we know what Travis Kelce is in that Kansas City offense. It's going to be huge. So receptions, receptions, receptions. And then last but not least, we have Zesbians, versus the Happy Endings. Love the names, guys. Good shit, good shit. Um, so this is dictated by the spread as a fucking blowout, right? And then we can see here Cam Akers got nothing for this poor bastard last night. So that's not looking good. That is a really rough start. And Cooper Kupp had 31 points last night. That can't be right. That had to be what he's projected to get. Okay, I'm not going to waste time on that. We'll figure that out later. Either way, um, quarterback matchups pretty fair. Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts. I mean, statistically, or not statistically, like in real life, Dak Prescott, I think most people would say, hopefully at least, is the better quarterback. But fantasy-wise, Jalen Hurts is going to move with his legs. He's probably going to get you more points in fantasy value, at least on a more constant basis. David Montgomery and Javonte Williams, these are both, I think, really strong running backs. David Montgomery is another one of those guys who's extremely explosive in the running and receiving game, so that's a good choice. Uh, and the same could be said for Javonte Williams. And then you move over to happy endings. You got Jonathan Taylor, right? Jonathan Taylor is like almost automatic 20 points. It's got to be. If he's not getting you 20 points a week, then the Colts are losing, right? Like the Colts live and die by this poor guy. So, you know, this needs to be a guaranteed 20 points. Um, but we shall see, I guess. And then this is this Tyreek Hill matchup. What I wanted to mention about this Tyreek Hill matchup with Cooper Kupp is that I felt like this, not the spread, but the projected points here were not really fair. So Cooper Kupp was projected to get like some 25, 26 points, I think, or something like that. Again, prior to playing yesterday, and Tyreek Hill is projected to get 14. I know we haven't seen that Tua and Tyreek Hill click yet, but I mean, come on, man. Tyreek Hill is the fucking cheetah, man. The cheetah. This is Tyreek Hill. He's gonna get you 14 points. Just get the ball in his hands, and he's gonna make it happen. I felt a little like I felt secondhand disrespect, if that's a thing, for Tyreek Hill when I saw those projections. Um, all that being said, I think the spread here is extremely misleading. Cam Akers getting you 0 points isn't really good, but is what it is. Um, I think Tyreek Hill will make up a little bit of that because he's probably going to get more than 14 points, or he really should. Um, yeah, and that's that actually. I think the only defensive player we really noted was Micah Parsons, and I don't even he's not going to be the highest scoring defensive player. Fucking headphones just turn off at like 15 minutes. I don't get it. I don't think he's going to be the highest scoring defensive player in the total league. However, I think he's going to score enough points that'll swing the outcome of a game because he's going to have critical points. We will have to wait and see. I'm going to do my best to try and do a review of week one. I don't know if it'll happen. I'll definitely do a preview of every week though moving forward. Just let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know if you're, kind of into the content, want to keep seeing it. Um, or not, I guess, of course. And hit me up next time. Definitely, like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at CharlieATB. Review, comment, likes, blah, 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 whatever. Reach out to us. Let us know how we're doing. All right. Bye.